99% of prayers are never answered. Why? Because they are not prayers, they are complaints sent to God. Ernest Holmes, the genius behind the science of mind, revealed that true prayer is not an act of begging a reluctant deity. It is a scientific movement of the mind. He decoded the perfect formula, a precise 5-step algorithm that, when followed exactly, must produce a result. It works with the same reliability as gravity. If your prayers are failing, you are not unworthy. You are just getting the equation wrong. Holmes did not write poetry about hope. He wrote manuals about law. He understood that the universe operates on principles as exact as mathematics, and that prayer, when executed correctly, is not a gamble but a certainty. The problem is not that God is deaf. The problem is that you are broadcasting on the wrong frequency. The pain is the silence from the heavens, asking for help and getting nothing but your own echo. You kneel in desperation. You plead for healing, for money, for love, and the only response is the cold indifference of an empty room. You begin to believe that you are cursed, that you are somehow spiritually defective, that the universe has favorites and you are not among them. But this is a lie born of ignorance. You are like a chemist mixing random chemicals hoping for gold, but creating an explosion instead. You have the laboratory, you have the ingredients, but you lack the formula. Ernest Holmes provides the specific recipe. He promises that if you stop begging and start treating, his word for scientific prayer, you turn the switch from hope to law. You become an operator of the divine machine, not a supplicant before a capricious monarch. The difference is absolute. Traditional prayer assumes separation. You down here in your smallness, God up there in his vastness, and a great chasm of unworthiness between you. It is a transaction based on scarcity. Please give me what I do not have. But treatment is based on abundance. It is the recognition that you already exist within the infinite, that your mind is already connected to the universal mind, and that what you seek is not distant but present. Holmes discovered that the universe does not respond to your desperation. It responds to your conviction. It does not hear your words. It reads your mental blueprint. When you shift from begging to declaring, from hoping to knowing, the entire mechanism of creation aligns with your command. This is not mysticism. This is engineering. In this video, we will master the 5-stage treatment protocol. We will walk through the steps that turn a thought into a physical object, a mental pattern into a material reality. You will learn the precise sequence that Holmes used to heal bodies, manifest wealth, and transform lives. But I must warn you, there is a fatal error that happens in step 5. Most people do the first 4 steps perfectly. They recognize the power. They unify with it. They state their desire. They give thanks. But then they destroy the entire structure with what Holmes called the backward glance. It is the spiritual equivalent of planting a seed and then digging it up every hour to check if it has sprouted. I will teach you how to walk away correctly in part 4, how to release your word into the law and trust the mechanism completely. This is not theory. This is a technology that has been tested and proven by thousands of practitioners across a century. Holmes did not invent these principles. He discovered them, the way Newton discovered gravity. The law was always there, operating silently, waiting for someone to decode its language. Today you are being initiated into that language. You are being given the keys to the control room of reality. But you must follow the formula exactly. You cannot skip a step. You cannot improvise. The universe is precise, and it demands precision in return. If you are ready to stop gambling with hope and start operating with certainty, then this transmission is for you. If you understand that prayer is not an emotional plea, but a scientific procedure, if you are willing to approach the divine as an engineer approaches a blueprint, then comment below, "I trust the formula," to begin the experiment. Subscribe to this channel, because what you are about to learn will render you incapable of returning to the old way of thinking. You will see prayer for what it truly is, the act of impressing a pattern upon the substance of the universe, which then hardens into form with mathematical inevitability. Let us begin. Ernest Holmes drew a line in the sand of spiritual thought. On one side was prayer, on the other was treatment. They are not synonyms. They are opposites. Ordinary prayer is dualistic. It assumes two entities, you, the small and needy human, and God, the vast and powerful being, who may or may not grant your request. It is a hierarchical model, a feudal system of the spirit. You approach the throne with your hat in your hand, hoping the king is in a generous mood. This framework is built on the foundation of separation, and separation is the root of all suffering. When you pray from this place, you are reinforcing the very illusion that causes your problem. You are saying, I am here, lacking, and you are there, withholding. You are encoding lack into the very structure of your request. Treatment, by contrast, is non-dualistic. It begins with the recognition that there is no separation, that there is only one life, one mind, one power, and you are already within it. You are not outside the circle trying to get in. You are inside the circle trying to remember where you are. Holmes said, "We do not make things happen. We accept that they have happened." This is a radical inversion of the traditional model. You are not asking God to change reality. You are changing your perception of reality, and the universe, which is a perfect mirror, reflects your new perception back to you. The work is not done in the heavens. It is done in your mind. When your mind shifts, the world shifts. This is not magic. This is the mechanical operation of law. The crucial insight is this: you do not treat a sick body. You treat the mind that believes in sickness. The body is an effect, not a cause. It is the printout, not the file. If you want to change the printout, you must change the file. Holmes understood that disease, poverty, loneliness, all external conditions, are the physical manifestations of mental patterns. They are the hardened forms of thought. If you try to change the condition without changing the thought, you are rearranging furniture on the deck of a sinking ship. The ship will still sink. But if you change the thought, the condition must change, because the condition has no independent existence. It is sustained by the thought. Remove the thought, and the condition collapses like a puppet with its strings cut. This is why treatment is an act of mental discipline, not emotional catharsis. You are not venting your feelings to the universe. You are correcting an error in the code. Holmes compared the mind to a garden. If you plant weeds, you get weeds. If you plant roses, you get roses. The soil does not judge your seeds. It simply grows whatever you give it. The universal mind operates on the same principle. It does not ask if your thought is good or bad, worthy or unworthy. It simply takes the imprint of your belief and reproduces it in form. If you believe in lack, you will experience lack. If you believe in abundance, you will experience abundance. The universe is not moral, it is mechanical. It is a law, and law does not play favorites. Therefore, treatment is the act of impressing a new pattern upon the universal mind. You're not asking for something you do not have. You are declaring the truth that already exists in the realm of the absolute. You are aligning your individual mind with the universal mind, and in that alignment, the false belief dissolves. Holmes said, "The practitioner does not heal the patient, the practitioner heals the belief in disease." This is a subtle but critical distinction. The patient's body may still be manifesting symptoms, but the practitioner's mind is clear. The practitioner sees the patient as whole, perfect, complete. And because the practitioner's mind is unified with the universal mind, that vision of perfection begins to impress itself upon the patient's experience. The healing happens not in the body, but in the field of consciousness that surrounds and creates the body. This is the foundation of the science of mind. Consciousness is cause and form is effect. You do not change the effect by manipulating the effect. You change the effect by altering the cause. If you want a different life, you must have a different mind. If you want a different body, you must have a different belief about the body. Holmes was relentless on this point. He refused to allow his students to focus on the problem. He trained them to focus only on the solution which already exists in the mind of God. The problem is a shadow. The solution is the light. You do not fight the shadow, you turn on the light. When the light is on, the shadow disappears automatically. This is why treatment is not a conversation with God. It is a conversation with yourself. You are reminding yourself of what is true. You are clearing away the mental debris, the doubts, the fears, the false beliefs that obscure the truth. Holmes said, We are not informing God of anything God already knows. The purpose of treatment is not to educate the divine, it is to educate yourself. You are teaching your own mind to think in alignment with the infinite. You are training yourself to see as God sees, to know as God knows. And when you achieve that alignment, even for a moment, the law responds instantly. The universe does not wait. It does not deliberate. The moment your mind is clear, the form begins to shift. Consider the nature of the universal mind. It is not a person. It is not a being with preferences and moods. It is a field, a substance, an infinite intelligence that pervades all things. Holmes called it the creative medium. It is like an ocean of pure potential, waiting to be shaped by thought. Your individual mind is like a mold that you press into this substance. The substance takes the shape of the mold. If your mold is shaped like lack, the substance hardens into lack. If your mold is shaped like abundance, the substance hardens into abundance. The substance itself is neutral. It does not care what shape you give it. It simply responds. This is the meaning of the phrase, "It is done unto you as you believe." Your belief is the mold. The universe is the substance. The result is inevitable. Holmes spent his life teaching people how to shape their molds correctly. He understood that most people are unconscious sculptors, randomly pressing distorted patterns into the substance and then wondering why their lives are chaotic. They do not realize that they are the architects of their own experience. They blame God, they blame fate, they blame other people, but they never look at the blueprint in their own mind. Treatment is the act of becoming a conscious architect. You take control of the mold, you examine it, you clean it, you reshape it according to the design you desire. And then you press it into the substance with confidence, knowing that the law must respond. This is not wishful thinking. This is not positive affirmations whispered into the void. This is the deliberate use of a universal principle. Holmes said, "There is a power for good in the universe and you can use it. Not you can beg it. Not you can hope it notices you. You can use it. It is a tool, a force, a law that operates with the same reliability as electricity. When you flip the light switch, you do not wonder if the electricity will flow. You know it will, because that is the nature of electricity. When you perform a treatment correctly, you do not wonder if the law will respond. You know it will, because that is the nature of law. The only question is whether you have shaped your mold correctly. The genius of Holmes was his ability to strip away the sentimentality and superstition that had accumulated around prayer for centuries. He did not deny the existence of God. He redefined God as law. He did not deny the power of faith. He redefined faith as mental acceptance. He took the language of religion and translated it into the language of science. He said, "Spiritual mind treatment is not a process of holding thoughts. It is a process of knowing the truth." You are not trying to convince the universe of anything. You are not trying to manipulate reality. You are simply stating what is already true in the absolute and allowing that truth to manifest in the relative. This is the essence of treatment, the recognition that the spiritual realm is the cause and the material realm is the effect. When you understand this, prayer ceases to be an act of desperation and becomes an act of authority. You are no longer a beggar, you are a legislator. You are not asking for permission, you are issuing a decree. Holmes said, "We are not supplicants before a reluctant God. We are operators of an infinite law." This is the shift from religion to science, from hope to certainty, from fear to power. You stop waiting for God to do something and you start doing something with God. You stop praying for a miracle and you start creating a miracle by aligning your mind with the creative principle. The miracle is not a violation of law, it is the fulfillment of law. It is what happens when law is applied correctly. This is the foundation upon which the 5-stage treatment protocol is built. You must understand that you are not appealing to a higher power. You are aligning with a higher principle. You are not hoping for an exception. You are invoking a rule. The rule is this: as you think, so you become. As you believe, so you experience. As you declare, so it is done. This is not a theory. It is the operating system of the universe. Holmes discovered it, tested it, and codified it into a method that anyone can use. The question is not whether it works. The question is whether you will use it correctly. Ernest Holmes used a simple analogy to explain the mechanism of treatment, the light switch. You do not beg the electricity to turn on the lights. You do not sacrifice a goat to the power plant. You do not kneel before the wall socket and plead for illumination. You simply establish the connection by flipping the switch. The electricity must flow. It has no choice. It is not a moral decision. It is a mechanical response. The power is always there, waiting in the wires. The switch does not create the power, it releases the power. When you flip the switch, you are not asking for electricity, you are allowing electricity. This is the essence of treatment. It is a mechanical act of alignment, not an emotional act of desperation. The electricity does not care about your worthiness. It does not care about your past mistakes, your current fears, or your future doubts. It does not care if you are rich or poor, saint or sinner, educated or ignorant. It flows to anyone who flips the switch. This is the nature of law. Law is impersonal. It operates with absolute consistency, regardless of who invokes it. Holmes said, "The law is no respecter of persons." This means that the law does not play favorites. It does not bless one person and curse another. It simply responds to the mental equivalent that is presented to it. If you present the mental equivalent of health, you receive health. If you present the mental equivalent of sickness, you receive sickness. The law does not judge your presentation, it reproduces your presentation. This is why treatment is not about emotion, it is about precision. You can be as emotional as you want, but if your mental equivalent is unclear, the law cannot respond clearly. It is like trying to photocopy a blurry document. The copy will be blurry. The photocopier does not fix the document, it reproduces the document. The universal mind operates on the same principle. It does not correct your thought, it manifests your thought. If your thought is contaminated with doubt, the manifestation will be contaminated with failure. If your thought is pure and clear, the manifestation will be pure and clear. Therefore, the work of treatment is the work of clarification. You are cleaning the lens of your mind so that the image you project is sharp. Holmes emphasized that the universe is not withholding anything from you. The storehouse is full. The power is infinite. The supply is inexhaustible. The only limitation is in your ability to accept. He said, "The universe can give you only what you can take. If you approach the universe with a thimble, you will receive a thimble's worth. If you approach with a bucket, you will receive a bucket's worth. The size of the container is determined by your belief. If you believe you are worthy of only a little, you will receive only a little. If you believe you are worthy of abundance, you will receive abundance. The universe does not decide what you deserve, you decide what you deserve, and the universe delivers it." This is the meaning of the phrase, "Ask and it shall be given." But Holmes added a critical clarification: you must ask correctly. You must ask from a place of knowing, not hoping. You must ask with the certainty that the answer is already present, not the fear that it might not come. This is the difference between a request and a demand. A request implies doubt, a demand implies authority. When you perform a treatment, you are not requesting, you are commanding. You are not suggesting, you are declaring. You are not hoping, you are knowing. And the universe, which is a perfect servant of consciousness, responds to your command with absolute obedience. The light switch analogy also reveals the nature of resistance. If you flip the switch and the light does not turn on, you do not blame the electricity. You check the circuit. Is the bulb burned out? Is the wire disconnected? Is the breaker tripped? You investigate the mechanism because you know the electricity is there. The problem is not in the power, the problem is in the connection. The same is true with treatment. If your prayer is not answered, do not blame God. Check your mental circuit. Is your belief clear or is it contaminated with doubt? Is your word strong or is it weakened by fear? Is your release complete or are you still holding on? The power is always there. The question is whether you have established the connection. Holmes taught that the universe is a yes machine. It does not say no, it does not deny, it does not refuse. It simply reflects. If you say, "I am sick," the universe says, "Yes, you are sick." If you say, "I am healthy," the universe says, "Yes, you are healthy." It is a perfect mirror. It does not argue with you. It agrees with you. Therefore, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your agreement with yourself. If you are in agreement with limitation, you will experience limitation. If you are in agreement with possibility, you will experience possibility. The universe is not the problem. Your agreement is the problem. This is why treatment is an act of self-persuasion. You are persuading yourself to change your agreement. You are convincing your own mind to shift from the belief in lack to the belief in abundance, from the belief in sickness to the belief in health, from the belief in separation to the belief in unity. And when your mind is fully persuaded, when there is no more doubt, no more resistance, no more contradiction, the law responds instantly. Holmes said, "Treatment is effective to the degree that it is believed. If you believe it halfway, it will work halfway. If you believe it completely, it will work completely." The mechanism is exact. Consider the nature of electricity again. Electricity does not care about the size of the bulb. It does not care if you are lighting a candle or a stadium. It flows with the same power in both cases. The difference is not in the electricity. The difference is in the vessel. The same is true with the universal mind. It does not care about the size of your request. It does not care if you are asking for a parking space or $1 million. The power is the same. The law is the same. The only difference is in your capacity to accept. If you can accept a parking space, you will get a parking space. If you can accept $1 million, you will get $1 million. The universe does not measure the worthiness of your request. It measures the clarity of your acceptance. Holmes was adamant that there is no hierarchy of difficulty in the spiritual realm. Healing a headache is not easier than healing cancer. Manifesting $10 is not easier than manifesting $10,000. In the realm of the absolute, all things are equally possible because all things are equally present. The difficulty is not in the thing. The difficulty is in your belief about the thing. If you believe that cancer is harder to heal than a headache, then it will be harder for you. But that is not because cancer is objectively harder. It is because you have imposed a belief of difficulty upon it. The law does not recognize your categories of hard and easy. The law only recognizes your belief. This is the liberating truth of the science of mind. You are not limited by external circumstances. You are only limited by internal beliefs. If you can change your belief, you can change your circumstance. If you can flip the switch in your mind, you can turn on the light in your life. Holmes said, "Change your thinking, change your life." It is not a slogan, it is a scientific principle. Your thinking is the cause, your life is the effect. If you want a different effect, you must produce a different cause, and the only place you can produce a different cause is in your own mind. This is why treatment is an inside job. You are not trying to change the world. You are trying to change your mind about the world. And when your mind changes, the world changes automatically. The light switch does not struggle. It does not strain. It does not hope. It simply connects. When you flip it, the circuit is complete and the power flows. This is the model for treatment. You do not struggle with the universe. You do not strain to make something happen. You do not hope that maybe, possibly, if you are lucky, God will grant your request. You simply connect. You align your mind with the universal mind. You state your word clearly. You release it completely. And the power flows. It must flow, because that is the nature of law. The light switch does not doubt whether the electricity will come. It knows. And when you perform a treatment correctly, you know. You do not hope. You know. And knowing is the switch that releases the infinite. The final insight of the light switch analogy is this. The switch does not create the electricity. It reveals the electricity. The power is always there, flowing through the wires, waiting to be used. The switch is simply the point of access. In the same way, treatment does not create the good you desire. It reveals the good that already exists. Health is already present in the universal mind. Abundance is already present. Love is already present. Peace is already present. These are not things you must acquire. They are things you must accept. They are not distant. They are here. They are not future. They are now. Treatment is the act of flipping the switch that allows you to see what has always been true. You are not making something happen. You are allowing something to happen. You are not forcing the universe, you are opening to the universe, and in that opening, the infinite pours through. Before you begin the 5-stage treatment protocol, you must enter the correct mental state. Ernest Holmes called this state the technician. You are not a desperate supplicant, you are a skilled operator. You are about to perform a mental surgery, and surgery requires precision, not passion. Emotion is good. Emotion is the fuel that drives your desire, but precision is better. Precision is the scalpel that cuts away the diseased belief and leaves the healthy tissue intact. When you sit down to perform a treatment, you are not entering a church, you are entering a laboratory. You are not about to beg, you are about to build. You are not hoping for a miracle. You are engineering a miracle using the laws of consciousness that govern all creation. The technician does not doubt the tools. A surgeon does not stand over the operating table wondering if the scalpel will cut. A pilot does not sit in the cockpit wondering if the controls will respond. They know their instruments and they trust them completely. In the same way, you must know the law and you must trust it completely. Holmes said, "Doubt is the only thing that can interfere with the law. Doubt is not a sin. It is a short circuit. It breaks the connection between your word and the creative medium. When you doubt, you are flipping the switch on and off rapidly, and the light flickers. When you know, you flip the switch once and leave it on, and the light shines steadily. The technician operates from knowledge, not hope. This mental state requires preparation. You cannot rush into treatment the way you rush into traffic. You must create a space of stillness. Holmes recommended beginning with a moment of silence, a deliberate quieting of the mental chatter. You are not trying to empty your mind, you are trying to focus your mind. You are gathering your attention the way a lens gathers light. When light is scattered, it is weak. When light is focused, it can cut through steel. Your mind, when scattered, is weak. Your mind, when focused, can cut through any obstacle. The technician does not scatter. The technician focuses. You are about to speak a word into the universal mind, and that word must be clear, sharp, undiluted by confusion. The preparation also involves a shift in identity. You must remember who you are. You are not a body. You are not a personality. You are not a collection of problems and limitations. You are an individualized expression of the infinite. You are a point of consciousness within the universal consciousness. You are a wave in the ocean of God. Holmes said, "You are as much of God as you can understand." This does not mean you are God in totality. It means you are God in expression. You are the infinite localized, the eternal temporalized, the absolute individualized. When you remember this, you stop speaking from your smallness and start speaking from your largeness. You stop speaking as the victim and start speaking as the creator. This shift in identity is the foundation of all effective treatment. The technician also understands the nature of time. In the realm of the absolute, there is no time. There is only the eternal now. Past and future are constructs of the human mind, useful for navigation, but ultimately illusory. When you perform a treatment, you are not speaking into the future. You are speaking into the now. You are not saying, "I will have health." You are saying, "I have health." You are not saying, "I will be abundant." You are saying, "I am abundant." This is not a lie. This is a recognition of what is true in the spiritual realm. The spiritual realm is the realm of cause. The material realm is the realm of effect. The effect may not have manifested yet, but the cause is already complete. You are declaring the cause, and the effect must follow. Holmes emphasized that the technician does not work from need. The technician works from wholeness. If you approach treatment from a place of desperation, you are affirming the very lack you are trying to eliminate. You are saying, "I am empty, and I need to be filled." But the law hears the first part louder than the second. It hears, "I am empty," and it responds by creating more emptiness. The technician approaches from a place of fullness. You are not asking the universe to give you what you lack. You are declaring the abundance that already exists. You are not filling a void. You are revealing a presence. This is a subtle but critical distinction. The energy of need repels. The energy of wholeness attracts. The correct mental state also involves a release of personal will. You are not forcing the universe to comply with your desires. You are aligning your desires with the universe's nature. The universe is inherently abundant, inherently healthy, inherently harmonious. When you desire health, you are not asking for something foreign to the universe, you are asking for something native to the universe. Holmes said, "We are not trying to make the law do something, we are letting the law do what it already does." The technician does not manipulate, the technician cooperates. You are not bending the law to your will, you are bending your will to the law. And in that surrender you gain all power. Another aspect of the technician's state is emotional neutrality. This does not mean you are cold or indifferent. It means you are not attached to the outcome in a way that creates anxiety. Anxiety is the enemy of manifestation. It is the signal that you do not trust the process. Holmes said, "When you have given your treatment, you must not be anxious about the result." The technician performs the procedure and then walks away, confident that the law is handling the details. You do not hover over the seed, digging it up every hour to check if it has sprouted. You plant it, water it, and trust the soil. The technician trusts the substance. You know that the creative medium is already at work, shaping the pattern you have impressed upon it. The technician also operates with a sense of impersonality. You are not treating for yourself as a separate, isolated ego. You are treating for the truth that applies to all beings. Holmes taught that the most powerful treatments are those that recognize the universality of the law. You are not saying, "I, John Smith, deserve health." You are saying, "Health is the truth of being, and I, as an expression of being, embody that truth." This removes the personal sense of unworthiness that so often sabotages treatment. You are not asking for a special favor. You are claiming a universal right. You are not an exception. You are an example. The law does not make exceptions, but it does make demonstrations. You are demonstrating what is true for all. The preparation of the technician also includes a recognition of the present moment as the only point of power. The past is gone. It has no power except the power you give it by thinking about it. The future is not yet here. It has no power except the power you give it by worrying about it. The only moment in which you can act is now. The only moment in which the law can respond is now. Holmes said, "The universe does not wait, it acts instantly." When you speak your word in the now, with clarity and conviction, the law responds in the now. The manifestation may take time to appear in the physical realm, but the cause is set in motion immediately. The technician understands this and does not dilute the power of the present moment by dragging the past or the future into it. Finally, the technician enters treatment with a sense of reverence, not for a distant God, but for the law itself. The law is sacred because it is the mechanism through which the infinite expresses itself. It is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the unformed and the formed, the potential and the actual. Holmes said, "The law is God in action." When you use the law, you are participating in the creative process of the universe. You are not a passive recipient of fate. You are an active co-creator of destiny. This is a profound responsibility and a profound privilege. The technician approaches this work with humility, not because of unworthiness, but because of the magnitude of the power being wielded. You are about to speak a word that will echo through the substance of the universe and crystallize into form. This is not a small thing. This is the most important work you will ever do. The mental state of the technician is not something you achieve once and then possess forever. It is something you cultivate with each treatment. You may need to spend several minutes in silence, breathing deeply, centering yourself before you begin. You may need to read a passage from Holmes's writings to remind yourself of the principles. You may need to repeat a simple phrase like, "I am one with the infinite," until you feel the truth of it in your bones. The preparation is not a formality, it is the foundation. A house built on sand will collapse. A treatment built on doubt will fail. But a treatment built on the solid ground of knowing will stand, and the universe will have no choice but to honor it. This is the way of the technician. This is the way of the master. The technician does not perform treatment as a desperate last resort. The technician performs treatment as a first response. When a problem arises, the technician does not panic, does not complain, does not blame. The technician sits down, enters the correct mental state, and begins the 5-stage protocol. This is discipline, This is mastery. This is the difference between someone who occasionally gets lucky and someone who consistently demonstrates the law. Holmes said, "The law is always working, but it works most powerfully for those who understand it and use it consciously. The technician is the one who understands. The technician is the one who uses. The technician is the one who demonstrates. And in that demonstration, the technician becomes a living proof that the universe is not random, that consciousness is not powerless, that prayer is not a gamble but a science. The mental state of the technician is the difference between a child playing with matches and a blacksmith forging a sword. The child may start a fire, but it is accidental and dangerous. The blacksmith starts a fire deliberately, controls it precisely, and uses it to create something of value. You are learning to be the blacksmith of consciousness. You are learning to wield the fire of thought with precision and purpose. You are learning to shape the substance of the universe according to your design. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. You are not claiming a power that is not yours. You are claiming a power that is already yours by virtue of your existence within the one mind. The technician knows this. The technician operates from this. And the technician succeeds, not sometimes, but always when the formula is followed correctly. The 5-stage treatment protocol is the algorithm of manifestation. It is the sequence of mental operations that takes a desire from the realm of the invisible and brings it into the realm of the visible. Ernest Holmes did not invent this sequence. He discovered it by observing the patterns of successful demonstration. He noticed that every effective treatment, whether performed by a trained practitioner or an unconscious mystic, followed the same basic structure. He codified that structure into 5 distinct stages, each with a specific purpose, each building upon the last. If you skip a stage, the circuit is broken. If you perform a stage incorrectly, the signal is distorted. But if you follow the sequence exactly, the result is inevitable. This is not theory. This is engineering. Step 1. Recognition, the absolute. The first stage is the acknowledgement of the power. You begin by stating the fundamental truth of existence. God is all. There is only one life, one power, one presence. This is not a belief, this is a fact. The universe is not divided into spirit and matter, sacred and profane, divine and human. The universe is a unified field of consciousness, and everything within it is an expression of that consciousness. Holmes said, "There is one mind, and that mind is God." When you begin your treatment with recognition, you are calibrating your instrument. You are tuning your individual mind to the frequency of the universal mind. You are not creating the power, you are acknowledging the power that already exists. This stage is critical because it establishes the foundation of non-duality. If you skip this stage and jump directly to asking for what you want, you are operating from the old dualistic model, you down here, God up there. But if you begin with recognition, you are establishing that there is no separation. You are saying, "Before I speak my word, I acknowledge that I am already within the infinite. I am not outside looking in. I am inside looking out." This shifts your entire orientation. You are no longer a beggar. You are a participant. You are no longer asking for something you do not have. You are claiming something that already belongs to you by virtue of your unity with the whole. The language of recognition is simple but powerful. You might say, "There is one infinite life, and that life is God. There is one infinite mind, and that mind is perfect, whole, complete. There is one infinite power, and that power is present everywhere, in all things, at all times. Nothing exists outside of this power. Nothing is separate from this life. All that is God expressing." You are not trying to convince yourself of this. You are reminding yourself of this. You are not creating a truth. You are recognizing a truth. This is the difference between affirmation and declaration. Affirmation tries to make something true. Declaration acknowledges what is already true. Step 2. Unification, the connection. The second stage is the identification of yourself with the power. You move from God is all to I am one with God. This is not blasphemy. This is the logical conclusion of the first stage. If there is only one life, and I am alive, then my life must be that one life. If there is only one mind, and I am conscious, then my mind must be an expression of that one mind. Holmes said, I am not separate from God. I am God expressing as me. This is the great secret of the science of mind. You are not a creation of God. You are a manifestation of God. You are not made by the infinite, you are made of the infinite. This stage is where most people falter. They can accept that God is powerful, but they cannot accept that they are powerful. They can accept that God is abundant, but they cannot accept that they are abundant. They draw a line between the divine and the human, and that line becomes a barrier to demonstration. Holmes spent his life erasing that line. He taught that the only difference between God and you is one of degree, not kind. God is the ocean, you are the wave. The wave is not separate from the ocean, it is the ocean in motion. You are not separate from God. You are God in expression. When you understand this, you stop praying to God and start praying as God. The language of unification is direct and personal. You might say, I am one with this infinite life. My mind is the mind of God, thinking through me. My body is the body of God, expressing through me. There is no separation between the infinite and me. Where God is, I am. What God is, I am. I am not a small, separate self. I am the infinite self, individualized. I am the point at which the universal becomes personal. I am the place where the absolute takes form. This is not ego, this is identity. You are not claiming to be God in totality, you are claiming to be God in expression. And in that expression, you have access to all the power, all the wisdom, all the abundance of the infinite. Step 3. Realization, the specifics. The third stage is the core of the treatment. This is where you state clearly and specifically what is true now. You do not say, I will have. You say, I have. You do not say, I hope to be. You say, I am. You are not projecting into the future, you are declaring in the present. Holmes said, the law knows only the present tense. If you speak in the future tense, the law will keep your desire in the future. If you speak in the present tense, the law will bring your desire into the present. This is not a trick of language. This is the mechanics of manifestation. The universe responds to your conviction, and conviction is always in the now. This is the stage where precision matters most. You must be clear about what you are treating for. If you are vague, the result will be vague. If you are specific, the result will be specific. Do not say, I want to be healthier. Say, I am in perfect health. Every cell of my body is vibrant and alive. My organs function flawlessly. My energy is limitless. Do not say, I hope to have more money. Say, I am abundant. Wealth flows to me easily and effortlessly. I have more than enough for all my needs and desires. The more specific you are, the clearer the pattern you impress upon the creative medium. The clearer the pattern, the more accurate the manifestation. But here is the crucial point. You are not describing a future state. You are describing a present reality. You are not saying what you want. You are saying what is. This requires a shift in consciousness. You must see it as already done. You must feel it as already accomplished. Holmes said, you must accept it before you can receive it. This is the great paradox of manifestation. You must believe you have it before you get it. But it is not a paradox when you understand the law. The spiritual realm is the realm of cause. The material realm is the realm of effect. In the spiritual realm, the thing you desire already exists. It is already present in the mind of God. Your job is not to create it. Your job is to accept it. And when you accept it fully, it manifests in form. The language of realization is bold and declarative. You might say, I now declare and accept perfect health. I am whole, complete, and free. I declare and accept financial abundance. Money comes to me from expected and unexpected sources. I declare and accept loving relationships. I am surrounded by people who honor and cherish me. I declare and accept peace of mind. I am calm, centered, and unshakable. This is not a hope. This is a fact. This is not a wish. This is a reality. I accept it now in this moment with full conviction. You are not asking the universe for permission. You are informing the universe of your decision. And the universe, which is a perfect servant, says, yes, it is done. Step 4. Thanksgiving, the seal. The fourth stage is gratitude. You thank the law for the manifestation. But here is the key. You do not thank the law after you see the result. You thank the law before you see the result. You thank the law now in this moment, as if the thing has already arrived. Holmes said, "Gratitude is the proof of acceptance." When you thank someone, you are acknowledging that they have given you something. When you thank the law before the manifestation appears, you are acknowledging that the law has already given it to you in the spiritual realm. You are sealing the treatment with the energy of completion. This is not fake gratitude. This is not pretending to be thankful when you are actually doubtful. This is genuine gratitude that arises from the knowing that the work is done. You have spoken your word. You have impressed the pattern upon the substance. The law is now in motion, shaping the form according to your design. The manifestation is inevitable. It is only a matter of time before it appears in the physical realm. But in the realm of cause, it is already complete. Holmes said, "The moment you accept it, it is done." Thanksgiving is the act of acceptance. It is the final signature on the contract. It is the seal that closes the circuit. The language of thanksgiving is simple and heartfelt. You might say, "I give thanks that this is done. I give thanks that the law is now bringing this into form. I give thanks that the universe is responding to my word with perfect precision. I give thanks that I am worthy to receive this. I give thanks that the infinite is expressing through me as this manifestation. I am grateful. I am blessed. I am complete." This is not a formality. This is a declaration of faith. You are saying, "I trust the law. I trust the process. I trust that what I have declared is already on its way to me." And in that trust you release all anxiety, all doubt, all fear. You rest in the certainty that the universe is handling the details. Step 5. Release, the transmission. The fifth stage is the most misunderstood and the most critical. This is where you let go. You release your word to the law. You hand the problem over to the universe. You wash your hands of the worry. Holmes said, "When you have given your treatment, you must not be anxious about the result." This is the stage where most people fail. They do the first 4 steps perfectly. They recognize the power, they unify with it, they state their desire, they give thanks, but then they destroy the entire structure by worrying. They dig up the seed to check if it has sprouted. They take the problem back from the universe and start carrying it again. This is the backward glance, and it is fatal. Release is not indifference, it is trust. You are not abandoning your desire. You are entrusting your desire to the law. You are saying, "I have done my part. I have spoken my word. I have impressed the pattern. Now I release this to the creative medium, knowing that it is already at work." Holmes compared this to mailing a letter. Once you drop the letter in the mailbox, you do not stand there worrying about whether it will be delivered. You trust the postal system. You go about your day, confident that the letter is on its way. In the same way, once you release your treatment, you go about your day, confident that the law is delivering your manifestation. The language of release is firm and final. You might say, "I now release this word to the law. I let it go completely. I do not hold on. I do not worry. I do not doubt. I trust the universe to handle the details. I trust the timing. I trust the process. I know that the law never fails. I know that what I have declared is already done in the realm of cause, and it is now manifesting in the realm of effect. I release this with confidence, with peace, with absolute certainty." And so it is. The phrase, "and so it is the traditional closing of a treatment. It is the equivalent of Amen. It means it is finished, the work is complete, the word is spoken, the law is in motion. The 5-stage protocol is a complete circuit. Each stage is essential. Each stage has a purpose. Recognition establishes the foundation. Unification creates the connection. Realization impresses the pattern. Thanksgiving seals the acceptance. Release activates the law. If you follow this sequence with precision, with clarity, with conviction, the result is guaranteed. Holmes said, "Treatment is not a hit or miss affair. It is a scientific procedure that produces consistent results when applied correctly. This is the promise of the science of mind. You do not have to hope. You can know." You do not have to beg, you can command. You do not have to wait passively, you can create actively. The 5-stage protocol is the key that unlocks the door to conscious manifestation. The fatal mistake that destroys most treatments happens in step 5, the release. You perform the first 4 stages flawlessly. You recognize the infinite, you unify with it. You declare your desire with clarity and conviction. You give thanks with genuine gratitude. And then 5 minutes later you start worrying. You start checking, you start doubting. Ernest Holmes called this the backward glance, and he warned that it is the single greatest obstacle to demonstration. It is the spiritual equivalent of planting a seed and then digging it up every hour to see if it has sprouted. The seed needs darkness, moisture, and time to germinate. If you keep disturbing the soil, the seed will never grow. Your word, once spoken into the creative medium, needs time to take form. If you keep disturbing it with doubt, it will never manifest. The backward glance is the act of taking your problem back from the universe. You hand it over in step 5, and then you steal it back in step 6, which is not even part of the protocol. You say, I release this to the law, and then moments later you say, but what if it doesn't work? What if I did it wrong? What if I'm not worthy? Each of these thoughts is a reversal of your treatment. Each of these thoughts is a new impression upon the creative medium, and the new impression contradicts the old impression. The law does not know which impression to follow, so it produces a confused, diluted, or non-existent result. Holmes said, anxiety is proof that you didn't really release it. If you were truly confident that the law was handling it, you would not be anxious, you would be at peace. The reason people commit the backward glance is simple. They do not trust the law. They trust their own worry more than they trust the universe. They believe that if they stop thinking about the problem will get worse. But the opposite is true. The more you think about the problem, the more you energize the problem. The more you worry about the lack, the more you impress the pattern of lack upon the substance. Holmes taught that the universe is a mirror. It reflects back to you whatever you are focusing on. If you focus on the problem, the universe shows you more of the problem. If you focus on the solution, the universe shows you more of the solution. The backward glance is the act of focusing on the problem after you have already declared the solution. It is a contradiction, and contradictions cancel each other out. The antidote to the backward glance is discipline. You must train yourself to walk away from the treatment and leave it alone. Holmes recommended a simple practice. After you release your word, immediately shift your attention to something else. Do not sit there brooding. Do not analyze whether you did it correctly. Do not wonder when the result will appear. Stand up, go about your day, and trust the process. If the thought of the problem arises, do not engage with it. Simply say, I have already treated for this. It is done. I release it again. And then shift your attention. This is not denial, this is discipline. You are training your mind to stay in alignment with your word. Another form of the backward glance is the act of testing the law. You perform a treatment, and then immediately check to see if anything has changed. You look in your bank account to see if money has appeared. You check your body to see if the pain is gone. You examine your relationships to see if the conflict has resolved. But the law does not work on your timetable. The manifestation may take hours, days, or weeks to appear in the physical realm, depending on the complexity of the pattern and the depth of your acceptance. Holmes said, the universe does not wait, but the manifestation may. The cause is set in motion instantly, but the effect unfolds according to the natural order of things. If you check too soon and see no change, you may conclude that the treatment failed. But the treatment did not fail. You failed to trust the timing. The most insidious form of the backward glance is the act of repeating the treatment out of fear. You perform a treatment on Monday, and then you perform the same treatment on Tuesday, not because you are reinforcing your word, but because you are doubting your word. You are treating the same problem again because you do not believe the first treatment worked. But each repetition from a place of doubt is a new impression of doubt. It is like saying, I know I told you to do this, but I don't think you heard me, so I'm going to tell you again. The law heard you the first time. The question is whether you heard yourself. Holmes said, one perfect treatment is enough. If your treatment is clear, complete and released, you do not need to repeat it. You simply hold the vision and let the law do its work. The second fatal mistake is what Holmes called the outline. This is the act of telling the law how to deliver your manifestation. In step 3, when you declare your desire, you must be specific about what you want, but you must not be specific about how it will come. You say, "I am abundant," but you do not say, "I am abundant because I will win the lottery." You say, "I am in perfect health," but you do not say, "I am in perfect health because this specific doctor will cure me with this specific treatment." The moment you outline the method, you limit the law. You are saying, "Universe, I trust you to give me what I want, but only if you do it my way." And the universe, which has infinite ways to deliver your good, is now constrained by your narrow vision. The outline is a form of control. It arises from the belief that you know better than the universe how things should unfold. But you do not know better. You cannot see all the variables. You cannot see all the possibilities. You cannot see the perfect path that the law is preparing for you. Holmes said, "The universe is more intelligent than you are." This is not an insult, it is a fact. The universal mind has access to all information, all resources, all connections. Your individual mind has access to a tiny fraction of that. When you outline the method, you are trying to force the universe to work through your limited perspective. But if you simply state the desire and release the method, the universe can deliver your good in ways you never imagined, through channels you never expected, with a perfection you could never have designed. The antidote to the outline is surrender. You must be willing to let go of control. You must be willing to say, "I know what I want, but I do not know how it will come, and I do not need to know. I trust the infinite intelligence to handle the details." This is not passivity, this is wisdom. You are not giving up, you are letting go. You are not abandoning your desire, you are entrusting your desire to a power that is far greater than your own. Holmes said, "Let go and let God." This does not mean you do nothing. It means you do your part. You speak your word, you hold your vision, you take inspired action, and then you let the universe do its part, which is to arrange the circumstances, align the people, and open the doors. The third fatal mistake is treating from a place of need rather than a place of wholeness. If you approach the treatment with the energy of desperation, you are affirming the very lack you are trying to eliminate. You are saying, "I am empty and I need to be filled." But the law hears the first part louder than the second. It hears, "I am empty," and it responds by creating more emptiness. Holmes taught that you must treat from a place of already having. You must feel the abundance before you see the abundance. You must embody the health before you experience the health. This is the great secret. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. If you are vibrating at the frequency of lack, you will attract lack. If you are vibrating at the frequency of abundance, you will attract abundance. The antidote to treating from need is to cultivate a sense of sufficiency. Before you begin your treatment, spend a few moments appreciating what you already have. Feel gratitude for your breath, for your body, for your mind, for the roof over your head, for the food in your stomach. This shifts your energy from lack to abundance. You are reminding yourself that you are not starting from zero. You are starting from a place of already being blessed. Holmes said, "Gratitude is the magnet that attracts more good." When you approach the treatment from a place of gratitude, you are no longer begging. You are claiming. You are no longer asking for something you do not have. You are accepting more of what you already have. This is the energy that the law responds to most powerfully. The fourth fatal mistake is impatience. You perform a treatment and then expect the result to appear immediately. When it does not, you conclude that the law does not work, or that you are not good enough, or that the universe is against you. But the law is not a vending machine. You do not insert a coin and get instant gratification. The law is a process. It is a sequence of cause and effect that unfolds according to its own timing. Holmes said, "The law is never in a hurry, and it is never late." The manifestation will appear at the perfect moment when all the conditions are aligned. Your job is not to force the timing. Your job is to hold the vision and trust the process. The antidote to impatience is faith. Faith is not blind belief. Faith is the confidence that the law is working even when you cannot see the evidence. Holmes said, "Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This means that faith is not the absence of proof. Faith is the acceptance of invisible proof. You know the law is working because you have spoken your word, and the law must respond. The fact that you do not see the result yet does not mean the result is not coming. It simply means the result is still in the process of formation. A seed planted in the ground does not sprout overnight, but the sprouting is already happening beneath the surface. Your manifestation is already happening in the invisible realm. It is only a matter of time before it breaks through into the visible realm. Faith is the willingness to wait with confidence. Ernest Holmes provided a set of master's tips for those who wish to move beyond basic competence and into true mastery of the science of mind. The first tip is this: treatment is not a process of holding thoughts, it is a process of knowing the truth. Many people misunderstand treatment as a mental exercise in which you repeat affirmations over and over, trying to convince yourself of something you do not believe. But this is not treatment. This is mental gymnastics. True treatment is the act of recognizing what is already true in the realm of the absolute and allowing that truth to displace the false belief. You are not creating a new truth. You are uncovering an eternal truth. You are not making something happen. You are allowing something to happen. The second tip is, we are not trying to make something happen. We are accepting that it has happened. This is the shift from effort to acceptance. Most people approach prayer as a form of work. They believe that if they pray hard enough, long enough, with enough emotion, they can force the universe to comply. But the universe does not respond to effort. It responds to acceptance. Holmes said, "The law does not care how hard you try. It only cares how clearly you accept." When you accept fully, without reservation, without doubt, the law responds instantly. The work is not in the trying. The work is in the accepting. And acceptance is not a mental strain, it is a mental release. The third tip is, treat until you feel free. This is the test of a complete treatment. When you finish your treatment, you should feel a sense of relief, a sense of lightness, a sense of completion. If you still feel anxious, if you still feel burdened, if you still feel uncertain, then the treatment is not complete. You must continue until the weight lifts. Holmes said, "You will know your treatment is effective when you no longer care about the problem." This does not mean you are indifferent. It means you are confident. You have handed the problem to the law, and you trust the law to handle it. The burden is no longer yours to carry. This is the feeling of freedom, and it is the sign that your word has been fully released. The fourth tip is, do not treat the condition. Treat the belief in the condition. This is the most important distinction in the science of mind. The condition, whether it is sickness, poverty, or loneliness, is not the problem. The condition is the effect. The problem is the belief that created the condition. If you try to treat the condition without treating the belief, you are treating the symptom without treating the cause. The condition may improve temporarily, but it will return because the belief is still intact. But if you treat the belief, the condition must dissolve because the condition has no independent existence. It is sustained by the belief. Remove the belief, and the condition collapses. The fifth tip is, the practitioner does not heal the patient. The practitioner heals the belief in disease. This applies not only to physical healing, but to all forms of treatment. When you treat for someone else, you are not trying to fix their life. You are trying to correct your own perception of their life. You are seeing them as they truly are in the mind of God, perfect, whole, complete. And because your mind is unified with the universal mind, your vision of their perfection begins to impress itself upon their experience. Holmes said, "All healing is the result of clear thinking." The practitioner's job is to think clearly, to see truly, to know absolutely. The patient's job is simply to be open to the healing. The practitioner does the work. The patient receives the benefit. The sixth tip is, treatment is the act, the art, and the science of inducing a conscious activity in the universal mind. This is the definition of treatment in its purest form. You are not asking the universal mind to do something. You are activating the universal mind to do what it already does. The universal mind is always creating, always expressing, always manifesting. Your treatment is the specific direction you give to that creative activity. You are saying, universal mind, express through me as health. Universal mind, express through me as abundance. Universal mind, express through me as love. And the universal mind, which is always ready, always willing, always able, responds to your direction with perfect obedience. The seventh tip is, the universe is not withholding anything from you. You are withholding yourself from the universe. This is the great revelation of the science of mind. The problem is not that God is stingy, that the law is reluctant, that the universe is playing favorites. The problem is that you are blocking the flow with your doubt, your fear, your sense of unworthiness. Holmes said, the universe can give you only what you can take. If you are holding a thimble, you will receive a thimble's worth. If you are holding a bucket, you will receive a bucket's worth. The size of your container is determined by your belief. Expand your belief and you expand your capacity. The universe is an infinite ocean of abundance waiting to pour into you. The only question is, how much are you willing to receive? The eighth tip is, doubt is the only thing that can interfere with the law. Doubt is not a sin. It is a short circuit. It breaks the connection between your word and the creative medium. When you doubt, you are sending a mixed signal. You are saying, I believe this is true, but I also believe it might not be true. The law does not know which signal to follow, so it produces a confused result. Holmes said, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. You cannot ride two horses at once. You must choose, either you trust the law or you trust your doubt. You cannot trust both. The path of mastery is the path of eliminating doubt, not by suppressing it, but by replacing it with knowledge. You know the law works because you have seen it work. You know the law is reliable because you have tested it. And in that knowing, doubt has no power. The ninth tip is, the law is no respecter of persons. This means the law does not play favorites. It does not bless one person and curse another. It does not reward the righteous and punish the wicked. It simply responds to the mental equivalent that is presented to it. A criminal can use the law to create wealth, and a saint can use the law to create poverty, depending on their beliefs. The law is neutral. It is a tool, and tools can be used for any purpose. Holmes said, the law is like electricity. It will cook your dinner or burn down your house, depending on how you use it. This is both a warning and a promise. The warning is, be careful what you think, because your thoughts are creating your reality. The promise is, you have the power to create whatever you desire, regardless of your past, your circumstances, or your perceived worthiness. The 10th tip is, one perfect treatment is enough. This is the standard of mastery. A master does not need to repeat a treatment over and over. A master speaks the word once with absolute clarity and conviction, and then releases it completely. The word is enough. The law is in motion. The manifestation is inevitable. Holmes said, if you have to keep treating for the same thing, you are not treating, you are worrying. Each repetition from a place of doubt is a new impression of doubt, but one treatment from a place of knowing is all that is required. This does not mean you cannot treat daily for a general sense of well-being or alignment. It means you do not treat the same specific problem repeatedly out of fear. You treat it once, perfectly, and then you let it go. The 11th tip is, act as if it is already done. This is the principle of embodiment. Once you have released your treatment, you must begin to act in alignment with your word. If you have treated for abundance, start making plans for how you will use the money. If you have treated for health, start planning activities that a healthy person would do. If you have treated for love, start preparing your life to welcome a partner. This is not pretending. This is preparing. You are creating space in your life for the manifestation to arrive. Holmes said, faith without works is dead. The work is not the striving, the work is the alignment. You align your actions with your belief, and the universe aligns the circumstances with your actions. The 12th tip is, release the word and forget the word. This is the paradox of mastery. You must care deeply enough to perform the treatment with precision, and then you must care lightly enough to release it completely. You must be fully invested in the speaking, and fully detached from the outcome. Holmes said, hold the vision but release the details. You know what you want, but you do not know when it will come or how it will come, and you do not need to know. You have done your part. You have spoken your word. You have impressed the pattern. Now you step back and let the law do its work. This is the ultimate act of trust, and it is the hallmark of a master. The 5-stage treatment protocol is not a mystical ritual, it is an algorithm. Ernest Holmes, though he lived decades before the computer age, was thinking like a programmer. He understood that the universe operates on a set of rules, and if you input the correct sequence of commands, you will receive the correct output. The analogy to computer code is precise and illuminating. Consider the structure of a function in programming. First, you define the library, the collection of tools and resources the program will use. This is step 1, recognition. You are acknowledging the infinite as the source of all power, all intelligence, all substance. You are defining the library of the universe. Second, you define the user, the entity that will execute the function. This is step 2, unification. You are identifying yourself as the operator, the one who is authorized to use the tools in the library. You are not a stranger to the system. You are an integral part of the system. Your individual mind is a terminal connected to the mainframe of the universal mind. You have access, you have authority, you have the password, which is the recognition of your unity with the infinite. Without this step, the function cannot run. Without this step, you are trying to execute a command without permission. The system will reject you. Third, you input the command, the specific instruction you want the program to execute. This is step 3, realization. You are telling the universe exactly what you want it to do. You are not vague, you are specific. You are not tentative, you are declarative. You are writing the code with precision because you know that the computer will do exactly what you tell it to do, no more and no less. If you write sloppy code, you will get a sloppy result. If you write clean code, you will get a clean result. Holmes understood this. He insisted on clarity, on specificity, on the elimination of ambiguity. The universe is a literal interpreter. It does not read between the lines. It executes the command as written. Fourth, you close the loop. You confirm that the command has been received and is being processed. This is step 4, thanksgiving. In programming, this is called a confirmation message. You send a request to the server, and the server sends back a message, request received, processing. Thanksgiving is your confirmation message to yourself. You are acknowledging that the command has been sent, that the law has received it, that the process is underway. This closes the psychological loop. It prevents you from sending the command again out of doubt. You have received the confirmation. You can now relax. Fifth, you run the script, you execute the program, and let it do its work. This is step 5. Release, you press enter, you click submit. You do not hover over the keyboard second-guessing the code. You do not keep clicking submit over and over, wondering if it went through. You trust the system. You know that once the command is sent, the program is running. It is processing in the background. It will complete its task and return the result. Your job is not to micromanage the process. Your job is to wait for the output. Holmes said, "The law never sleeps. The program is always running. The universe is always processing. Your manifestation is already in the queue. If you miss a syntax character, if you skip a step or perform a step incorrectly, the code fails. This is the brutal honesty of programming, and it is the brutal honesty of the science of mind. The law is precise. It does not make allowances for good intentions or sincere efforts. It simply executes the command as given. If the command is incomplete, the result will be incomplete. If the command is contradictory, the result will be contradictory. If the command is clear, the result will be clear. Holmes was the first spiritual coder. He understood that the universe is not a person to be persuaded. It is a system to be operated. And systems require precision. Consider the nature of bugs in code. A bug is not a moral failure. It is a logical error. The programmer did not intend to create a bug, but the code contains a mistake, and the program produces an unintended result. The same is true with treatment. If your treatment is not producing the result you desire, you do not have a spiritual deficiency, you have a logical error. You have a bug in your code. Perhaps you skipped step 2 and tried to claim something without first unifying with the power. Perhaps you contaminated step 3 with doubt or fear. Perhaps you failed to complete step 5 and kept worrying after you released. The solution is not to feel guilty. The solution is to debug. You go back through the code line by line and find the error. You correct it. You run the program again. This is the scientific approach. Holmes taught that the universe is a yes machine. In programming terms, the universe is a compiler that always compiles. It never says, I refuse to run this code. It simply runs the code as written. If the code says, print, I am sick, the universe prints, I am sick. If the code says, print, I am healthy, the universe prints, I am healthy. The universe does not judge the quality of your code. It executes your code. This is why you must be so careful with your thoughts. Every thought is a line of code. Every belief is a subroutine. Every emotion is a variable. You are programming your reality with every mental activity. Most people are unconscious programmers, writing sloppy code, running buggy programs, and then wondering why their lives are chaotic. The master is a conscious programmer, writing clean code, running efficient programs and producing consistent results. The analogy extends to the concept of loops. In programming, a loop is a sequence of instructions that repeats until a certain condition is met. In the science of mind, a negative belief is a loop. You believe you are unworthy, so you act unworthy, so you experience unworthiness, which confirms your belief, which causes you to act unworthy again. This is an infinite loop. It will run forever unless you break it. How do you break a loop? You change the condition. In programming, you change the variable that the loop is checking. In treatment, you change the belief. You declare a new truth, I am worthy. This changes the condition. The loop stops. The program moves on to the next instruction. Holmes said, you can change your life by changing your mind. In programming terms, you can change the output by changing the input. Another parallel is the concept of inheritance. In object-oriented programming, a child class inherits the properties and methods of a parent class. In the science of mind, you inherit the properties and methods of the universal mind. You are a child class of the infinite. Everything the infinite is, you are in potential. The infinite is powerful, you are powerful. The infinite is abundant, you are abundant. The infinite is creative, you are creative. You do not have to create these qualities. You simply have to recognize that you have inherited them. Holmes said, you are as much of God as you can understand. The more you understand your inheritance, the more you can access and express it. This is not arrogance, this is inheritance. You are claiming what is already yours by virtue of your origin. The concept of functions is also relevant. In programming, a function is a reusable block of code that performs a specific task. In the science of mind, a treatment is a function. You write it once and you can use it again and again. You do not have to reinvent the wheel every time you want to manifest something. You simply call the function. You plug in the new parameters, the new desire, and the function runs. Holmes provided the template: recognition, unification, realization, thanksgiving, release. This is the function. You do not need to create a new method. You simply need to use the method he provided. This is the efficiency of the science of mind. You are not starting from scratch. You are building on a proven framework. The concept of debugging is perhaps the most powerful parallel. When a program does not work, a good programmer does not abandon programming. A good programmer debugs. They examine the code line by line, looking for the error. They test different inputs. They isolate the problem. They fix the bug. They run the program again. This is the attitude of a master practitioner. When a treatment does not produce the desired result, the master does not conclude that the law is broken. The master debugs. They examine their treatment step by step, looking for the error. Did I recognize the power fully? Did I unify completely? Did I declare clearly? Did I give thanks genuinely? Did I release totally? The master finds the bug, corrects it, and treats again. This is not failure. This is refinement. This is the scientific method applied to spirituality. Holmes was ahead of his time in recognizing that the mind operates like a machine, not a cold, lifeless machine, but a precise, reliable machine. A machine that responds to input with output. A machine that follows rules. A machine that can be understood, operated, and mastered. He did not diminish the mystery of the universe. He revealed the mechanics of the universe. He did not reduce God to a formula. He revealed the formula through which God operates. This is the genius of the science of mind. It takes the invisible and makes it visible, the abstract and makes it concrete, the mystical and makes it practical. It is spirituality for the age of science, religion for the age of reason, prayer for the age of technology. The final insight of the algorithmic analogy is this: the universe is open source. The code is available to everyone. Holmes did not patent the 5-stage protocol. He did not keep it secret. He published it, taught it, shared it freely. He wanted everyone to have access to the algorithm. He wanted everyone to be able to program their own reality. This is the democratic nature of the science of mind. It is not reserved for the elite, the educated, the ordained. It is available to anyone who is willing to learn the code, practice the syntax, and trust the system. You do not need a priest to intercede for you. You do not need a guru to enlighten you. You simply need the algorithm. You simply need the willingness to use it. And when you do, the universe will respond, not because you are special, but because the law is reliable. To illustrate the power of the 5-stage treatment protocol, consider the story of a practitioner treating a man for alcoholism. The man had been drinking heavily for years. He had tried therapy, medication, support groups, and willpower. Nothing worked. He would stop for a few days or weeks, and then the craving would return and he would drink again. He came to the practitioner in desperation, asking for help. The practitioner agreed to treat for him, but she did not treat the way most people would expect. She did not pray for the man to stop drinking. She did not ask God to remove his addiction. She did not focus on the problem at all. Instead, she treated her own mind until she could see the man as he truly was in the mind of God, a perfect spiritual being who had no need for escape, no need for numbness, no need for alcohol. Every day, the practitioner sat in silence and performed the 5-stage protocol. She began with recognition. There is one life, one mind, one power, and that power is God. In the mind of God, there is no addiction, no lack, no fear. There is only wholeness, only perfection, only peace. She moved to unification. I am one with this mind. My mind is the mind of God. I see as God sees. She proceeded to realization. I now see this man as God sees him. He is whole, complete, free. He is a spiritual being, perfect and unshakable. He has no need for alcohol. He has no desire for escape. He is at peace. He is fulfilled. He is loved. She sealed it with thanksgiving. I give thanks that this is the truth. I give thanks that this man is free. And she released it. I release this word to the law. It is done. The practitioner did this every day for several weeks. She did not tell the man what she was doing. She did not ask him to change. She simply held the vision of his perfection in her mind, and she trusted the law to manifest that vision in his experience. And then one day, something remarkable happened. The man called the practitioner and said, I don't know what's going on, but I forgot to drink yesterday. I just forgot. The desire wasn't there. And today I still don't want to drink. It's like the craving has just vanished. The practitioner smiled and said, That's wonderful. The truth is revealing itself. The man never drank again. The desire had evaporated without withdrawal, without struggle, without effort. The treatment had corrected the mental cause, and the physical effect had dissolved. This story illustrates several key principles. First, the practitioner did not treat the condition. She treated the belief in the condition. She did not see the man as an alcoholic. She saw him as a spiritual being who had temporarily forgotten his true nature. Second, the practitioner did not work on the man. She worked on her own mind. She corrected her perception of him, and because her mind was unified with the universal mind, her corrected perception impressed itself upon his experience. Third, the practitioner trusted the process. She did not check in with the man every day. asking if he had stopped drinking. She simply held the vision and released it to the law, and the law, which never fails, produced the result. This is the power of treatment when it is performed correctly. It does not manipulate the person, it does not force the outcome. It simply reveals the truth, and the truth sets the person free. Holmes said, "The truth is not something we create, it is something we uncover." The man was always free in the mind of God. The addiction was a false belief, a distortion, a shadow. The practitioner's job was not to fight the shadow, it was to turn on the light, and when the light was turned on, the shadow disappeared automatically. This is the way of the science of mind. It is not a battle, it is a revelation. It is not a struggle, it is a recognition. It is not a miracle, it is a natural result of aligning with the law. Another aspect of this story is the role of the practitioner. The practitioner did not take credit for the healing. She did not say, "I healed you." She said, "The truth revealed itself." This is the humility of mastery. The practitioner knows that she is not the healer. The law is the healer. She is simply the one who knows how to use the law. She is the technician, the operator, the one who flips the switch. The power is not hers. The power is the infinite's. But she has learned how to access that power, how to direct that power, how to release that power. And in that knowledge, she becomes a channel for miracles. The story also demonstrates the principle of mental equivalence. The man's addiction was the physical manifestation of a mental pattern. The pattern was, "I am not enough. I am afraid. I need to escape." As long as that pattern was in place, the addiction would persist. But when the practitioner treated the pattern, when she replaced it with a new pattern of wholeness, peace, and sufficiency, the addiction had to dissolve because it had no mental support. It was like a house built on sand. When the sand was removed, the house collapsed. Holmes said, "Every condition in your life is the result of a mental equivalent. Change the mental equivalent, and the condition must change." This story is not unique. There are thousands of similar stories in the archives of the science of mind. People healed of cancer, people manifesting wealth, people finding love, people resolving conflicts, all through the use of treatment. These are not anomalies. These are demonstrations of the law. They are proof that the law works, that the method is reliable, that the universe responds to consciousness. Holmes did not ask people to believe him. He asked them to test the law for themselves. He said, "Try it, use it, see if it works." And those who tried it found that it did work. Not sometimes, but always, when the conditions were met, when the treatment was clear, when the belief was strong, when the release was complete, the result was inevitable. The practitioner in this story was not a saint. She was not a guru. She was not specially gifted. She was simply a person who had studied the science of mind, who had practiced the 5-stage protocol, and who had learned to trust the law. This is the promise of the science of mind. Anyone can do this. Anyone can learn the code. Anyone can become a practitioner. Anyone can demonstrate the law. The only requirement is the willingness to study, to practice, and to trust. Holmes said, "The law is available to all, but it is used by few." The reason it is used by few is not that it is difficult. It is that most people do not believe it is possible. They do not believe that they have the power to change their lives by changing their minds. But those who do believe, and those who act on that belief, discover a power that transforms everything. The final lesson of this story is the importance of persistence. The practitioner did not treat once and then give up when she did not see immediate results. She treated every day for several weeks. She held the vision consistently, persistently, unwaveringly. And the law, which responds to persistence, eventually produced the manifestation. Holmes said, "The law is like water wearing away stone. It works slowly, but it works surely." You may not see results immediately, but if you persist, if you hold the vision, if you trust the process, the results will come. The universe is not withholding from you. It is simply waiting for you to maintain the signal long enough for the form to crystallize. Persistence is not about effort, it is about faith. It is the willingness to keep believing even when you do not see evidence. And that willingness is rewarded always without exception. You now possess the formula. You have been given the 5-stage treatment protocol, the precise sequence of mental operations that turns a thought into a thing. You have learned the language of the law, the vocabulary of the infinite, the syntax of manifestation. You understand that prayer is not an emotional plea, but a scientific procedure. You understand that the universe is not a capricious deity, but a reliable system. You understand that you are not a powerless victim, but a conscious creator. This knowledge is the key that unlocks the door to a new life. But knowledge alone is not enough. Knowledge must be applied. The formula must be used. The protocol must be practiced. Ernest Holmes did not write The Science of Mind as a philosophical treatise. He wrote it as a manual. He intended for it to be used, not merely studied. He said, "The time has come for us to stop talking about God and start demonstrating God. This is the challenge before you now. You have the tools. You have the method. You have the understanding. The only variable is your persistence. Will you use the formula once and then abandon it when you do not see immediate results? Or will you commit to the practice day after day, week after week, until the law becomes as natural to you as breathing? The difference between those who demonstrate the law and those who merely admire the law is persistence. Consider the nature of mastery. A master is not someone who knows more than others. A master is someone who practices more than others. A master pianist has played the scales thousands of times. A master athlete has repeated the drills thousands of times. A master practitioner has performed the 5-stage protocol thousands of times. Mastery is not a destination. It is a practice. It is the willingness to show up day after day and do the work. Holmes said, "The universe responds to mental practice." Not mental theory, not mental belief, but mental practice. You must practice the law the way a musician practices an instrument. You must train your mind the way an athlete trains a body. You must make treatment a daily discipline, a sacred ritual, a non-negotiable commitment. The power of the formula lies not in its complexity, but in its simplicity. It is simple enough that anyone can understand it, but profound enough that it contains the entire mechanism of creation. Holmes distilled the essence of all spiritual teaching into 5 steps. He removed the mystery, the superstition, the confusion. He gave you a clear path, but the path must be walked. The formula must be applied. You cannot read about the 5-stage protocol and expect your life to change. You must perform the 5-stage protocol. You must speak the words. You must feel the conviction. You must release the doubt. You must trust the law. This is the work. This is the practice. This is the path to transformation. The promise of the science of mind is absolute. If you use the law correctly, the law must respond. This is not a hope. This is a guarantee. The law is impersonal, impartial, and inevitable. It does not care about your past, your circumstances, your perceived limitations. It only cares about your present mental state. If your present mental state is aligned with health, you will experience health. If your present mental state is aligned with abundance, you will experience abundance. If your present mental state is aligned with love, you will experience love. The law is a mirror. It reflects back to you whatever you are holding in consciousness. Change what you are holding, and the reflection changes. This is the power you have been given. This is the power you must now claim. Stop shooting arrows in the dark. Stop hoping for miracles. Stop waiting for God to do something. Use the rifle of sacred logic. Follow the steps. Trust the mechanism. The law never sleeps, and it never fails to answer a perfect equation. You have been given the equation. You have been shown the steps. You have been trained in the method. The only question now is, will you use it? Will you commit to the practice? Will you trust the process? Or will you return to the old way of thinking, the old way of praying, the old way of hoping and fearing and doubting? The choice is yours. But know this, the universe is waiting. The law is ready. The creative medium is listening for your word. Ernest Holmes spent his life proving that the universe is not random, that consciousness is not powerless, that prayer is not a gamble. He demonstrated over and over that when you align your mind with the infinite must respond. He showed that you are not a beggar at the feet of a reluctant God. You are an operator of an infinite law. He revealed that you are not outside the circle trying to get in. You are inside the circle, and you have always been inside the circle. The only thing that has ever separated you from your good is your belief in separation. Remove the belief, and the separation dissolves. This is the great secret. This is the ultimate truth. This is the foundation of the science of mind. You are not unworthy. You are not cursed. You are not forgotten. You are a point of consciousness within the universal consciousness. You are a wave in the ocean of God. You are an individualized expression of the infinite. Everything the infinite is, you are in potential. The only limitation is your acceptance. The only barrier is your belief. Holmes said, "The universe can give you only what you can take." Expand your capacity to receive. Enlarge your belief in what is possible. Stretch your imagination to include the life you truly desire, and then use the 5-stage protocol to impress that vision upon the creative medium. The law will do the rest. The world is full of people who are suffering unnecessarily. They are suffering not because the universe is cruel, but because they do not know the law. They are like people standing in a dark room, complaining about the darkness, not knowing that there is a light switch on the wall. You now know where the light switch is. You now know how to flip it. You have a responsibility to use this knowledge, not only for yourself, but for others. Holmes said, "We are all practitioners, whether we know it or not. Every thought you think is a treatment. Every belief you hold is a prayer. Every word you speak is a decree. You are always impressing patterns upon the creative medium. The question is, are you doing it consciously or unconsciously? Are you creating by design or by default? The science of mind is not a religion. It is a science. It is not a belief system. It is a method. It is not a philosophy. It is a technology. You do not have to believe in the law for the law to work. You simply have to use the law. Gravity works whether you believe in it or not. Electricity works whether you believe in it or not. The law of mind works whether you believe in it or not. But when you understand the law, when you trust the law, when you use the law consciously, you gain mastery. You move from being a victim of circumstance to being a creator of circumstance. You move from being tossed by the waves to being the one who commands the waves. Holmes was not interested in creating followers. He was interested in creating practitioners. He wanted people to test the law for themselves, to prove it in their own lives, to demonstrate it in their own experience. He said, "Do not take my word for it. Try it. See if it works." This is the scientific approach. This is the empirical method. You do not have to believe Holmes. You do not have to believe me. You simply have to try the 5-stage protocol, perform a treatment, speak your word, release it to the law, and watch what happens. The universe will respond. The law will demonstrate. Your life will change. This is not a promise. This is a prediction based on the consistent operation of an unchanging principle. The power is not in the words you speak. The power is in the consciousness behind the words. You can recite the 5-stage protocol like a parrot and nothing will happen. But if you speak the words with conviction, with clarity, with the full force of your belief, the universe will move mountains to fulfill your word. Holmes said, "It is not the words that have power. It is the consciousness that speaks the words." This is why the preparation is so important. This is why you must enter the mental state of the technician. You must align your consciousness with the infinite before you speak your word. And when your consciousness is aligned, your word becomes the word of God, and the word of God cannot fail. You are standing at a threshold. Behind you is the old life, the life of limitation, the life of hoping and fearing and doubting. Before you is the new life, the life of possibility, the life of knowing and trusting and demonstrating. The threshold is the decision. Will you step through? Will you commit to the practice? Will you use the formula? The universe is not going to drag you across the threshold. The law is not going to force you to change. You must choose. You must decide. You must act. Holmes said, "The law waits upon your decision." It is waiting now. It has always been waiting. It will continue to wait until you decide to use it. But the moment you decide, the moment you commit, the moment you speak your word with conviction, the law responds instantly. The universe aligns with your decision. The creative medium begins to shape the form according to your pattern. I challenge you now to a 7-day experiment. Choose one small thing that you desire. Do not choose something enormous that stretches your belief beyond its current capacity. Choose something manageable, something believable, something that you can accept as possible. Perhaps it is a sum of money. Perhaps it is a resolution to a conflict. Perhaps it is a small improvement in your health. Whatever it is, write it down, and then write out your 5-stage treatment for this desire. Follow the protocol exactly. Begin with recognition, move to unification, state your realization clearly, give thanksgiving genuinely, release it completely. Write it out in full sentences, in your own words, speaking to the universe as if you are speaking to a trusted friend who always keeps their promises. Once you have written your treatment, commit to reading it aloud every morning for 7 days. Not just reading it, but speaking it with conviction, with feeling, with the full force of your belief. Stand up when you speak it. Speak it to the universe. Speak it to yourself. Speak it as if you are issuing a decree, not making a request. And then, after you have spoken it, release it. Do not think about it for the rest of the day. Do not worry about it. Do not check to see if it is manifesting. Simply go about your day, trusting that the law is handling the details. If the thought of the desire arises, simply say, "I have already treated for this, it is done," and then shift your attention to something else. At the end of 7 days, observe what has happened. Has the desire manifested? Has there been movement in that direction? Has the universe opened a door, created an opportunity, aligned a circumstance? Most people who commit to this experiment find that something happens. It may not be exactly what they expected, but it is something. It is evidence that the law is working, that the universe is responding, that their word has power. And once you see evidence, your faith grows. And when your faith grows, your capacity to accept grows. And when your capacity grows, your demonstrations grow. This is the upward spiral of mastery. But I must warn you, if you perform this experiment half-heartedly, if you speak the words without conviction, if you release the word, but then immediately take it back by worrying, you will not see results. The law is precise. It requires precision. It requires commitment. It requires trust. Holmes said, "The universe does not respond to your casual interest. It responds to your burning desire." You must want this. You must be willing to commit to the practice. You must be willing to trust the process. If you are willing, the universe will meet you more than halfway. It will demonstrate the law in ways that astonish you, that delight you, that transform you. This 7-day challenge is not the end. It is the beginning. It is your initiation into the practice of conscious creation. It is your first demonstration of the law. And once you have one demonstration, you will want another, and another, and another. You will become addicted, not to the things you manifest, but to the power of knowing that you can manifest. You will become addicted to the sense of alignment, the sense of flow, the sense of being in partnership with the infinite. This is the true reward of the science of mind, not the things you get, but the person you become. You become a conscious co-creator with the universe. You become a master of the law. You become a living demonstration of what is possible when a human being aligns their mind with the mind of God. Subscribe to Sacred Logic to continue this journey. This channel is dedicated to the precise mathematical spirituality of Ernest Holmes and the science of mind. We do not traffic in vague inspirations or sentimental platitudes. We decode the laws that govern the universe. We provide the formulas, the algorithms, the protocols that turn thought into form. We train you to become a technician of reality, an engineer of destiny, an operator of the divine machine. If you are serious about mastering the law, if you are committed to the practice, if you are willing to do the work, then this is your training ground. Subscribe now and become part of a community of practitioners who are demonstrating the law every day in every area of life. The final word is this: you are not powerless. You have never been powerless. You have always had access to the infinite. You have always been connected to the universal mind. You have always been capable of impressing patterns upon the creative medium and watching those patterns crystallize into form. The only thing that has ever stopped you is your belief that you could not. But now you know the truth. Now you have the formula. Now you have the method. The question is not whether the law will work. The question is whether you will work the law. The universe is waiting for your word. The law is ready to respond. The creative medium is listening. Speak your word, trust the process, and watch your life transform. This is the promise of the science of mind. This is the power of the perfect formula. And so it is.